Spreading love, peace, and chicken grease. I don't know why I said that. Welcome, you guys.
What?
Welcome to, or I don't know. I don't know where that came from. Welcome to, or welcome back to TBN. We've been through a lot of changes on this here stream, but what we do nowadays on this stream is we sort of unpack and give some hot takes on some news as it relates to what we do, the world of vaping, tobacco control. What else? Tobacco harm reduction, nicotine, smoking, legislation, policy, science, all of the above and the such as. I'm your libertarian freedom-loving host, GrimmGreen, now joined by my far-left fact-checker. It's Danielle Jones, the socialist. I'm just kidding.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Just kidding. Here's the thing. I don't want that joke to get out of hand. I don't want people to think that Danielle Jones is like this crazy.
It's a joke.
I know it. I just want to clarify. Comedy. It's purely for comedies. That's purely comedy for comedy's sake. But we got our fact checker Danielle Jones in the house. Welcome, you guys. Appreciate you being here. We're here to spread some truth butter, I guess, as it were, and discredit the myth making machine. We're here to defend vaping. Really, that's my biggest. Like, I did a cool little interview with Chris Big Knowledge Garland from No Nicotine. He was on with Sons of Liberty, or he was on with somebody recently. Anyway, we got to sit down and have a little conversation. And one of the things that he said that like really stuck with me was he's like, man, I just defend vaping. And I was like, yeah, me too. I defend vaping. Let's defend vaping. So we're here to defend vaping. Appreciate you guys coming out. Addie Tooney, I see you there. Always appreciate you, man. So today we're going to be talking about, some news, some good news, some weird news, some glancy news. There's some news out of Canada. We're going to be talking about nicotine caps. I have a very shocking and alarmist headline on this video because I'm going to be reading from a very shocking and alarmist opinion piece. It's talking about how nicotine caps in Canada will definitely kill people. That's just it's technically the truth, right? It's an alarmist headline for the sake of being an alarmist headline, but it is technically the truth. We're going to talk a little bit about our good buddy Brad Roudou over there at the
Roudou.
I say it wrong every time.
A little bit.
We're also going to talk about Alex Jones from CASAA.
Oh no!
Good Lord, Brad. How is it? Roudou. Brad Roudou, University of Louisville.
Yep.
This is Brad Roudou. Okay. Brad Roudou, who's, we're a big fan of Brad Roudou on this show, and he had some issues with the way that Bloomberg presented some things, and, ALTRIA is trying to hold FDA accountable here on their information about nicotine and things like this, and Bloomberg has things to say about it, or at least Bloomberg News has things to say about it. Stanton Glantz had some things to say about it, right? I don't know. It's just old Glancy. What, Danielle, watch out. Just kidding. It's just old Glancy, and he likes to feel like he's relevant, and he tries to chime in now and again. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to wrap it up, I guess, a little bit towards the end with some science-y stuff. We got a bunch of science-y stuff, including, unsurprising science-y stuff from the UK, where they just go, all right, well, we did another big study, and we found that vaping is definitely less harmful and definitely helps with smoking cessation. This is the 800th study that we've done in this series that reconfirms all of our previous, So we have some music. Surprised, shocked and appalled that medical researchers in the UK push vaping. So I guess we're going to start off with just a couple newsy things. Best bumper ever. Best bumper ever.
I like to dance to it.
It is. It's kind of groovy. It's just like get you all in the mood to read about Representative Debbie Wasserman. Did you see this tweet?
God, yes.
Did you see this tweet? So here's the story. I have different texts and group texts with people, and I have a group text with two of my other friends who are kind of in the vape space, not really in the vape space. But it's whatever. They they keep on tabs on it a little bit, and he screen captured that and sent it to me, and I instantly I got that filled with rage feeling. I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? So I go to Twitter. Oh, That's what's missing.
What?
No.
What's happening?
Oh, no. Oh, shit. Hang on. I'm sorry.
What?
This is I'm missing something. It's okay. Did you notice that the blue is gone?
The blue?
The blue surroundings of us? They're blue and it's gone and I can't get it back. That's okay. Oh, no, there it is. This.
Oh,
our background.
those.
The background. Okay.
Oh.
Now it's TBN. Okay, now it's TBN. Sorry. I didn't mean to get everybody all whipped into a tizzy there. But I saw this tweet from Representative Debbie Wasserman. Flavored e-cigarettes are fueling a youth e-cigarette epidemic. I proudly joined Representative Diana, this person, and 42 of my colleagues today in urging FDA Tobacco to remove flavored cigarettes from the market and not just remove them, but deny any applications for flavored e-cigarettes or any other flavored
Don't even
tobacco
look at them.
products.
Just deny them.
Just deny them. And so
we know that you're the organization of science, but no, don't do that. Just deny them because a rando white woman in America said no.
Because I'm hysterical, you know? That's one of those. Yeah. And so my comment was, well, thankfully, hopefully, my response was, hopefully FDA will ignore like hysterical people and trust
they always
their
ignore
own
Rajas,
science,
right? Like he does the same shit, you know.
They always do. And I'm not just bringing this up because it's a representative acting like an idiot and not knowing what they're doing. I really brought this up because I want to give an advocacy shout out to Lindsay Stroud, who go to this thread and there are at least 40 replies from Lindsay Stroud of all of the videos of the Golden Oldies Capital Tour. It's like every reply. It's like, hi, I'm Mark. I smoked for 48 years. Hi, I'm this person. I smoked. Yep. Hi, I'm this person. Hi, I'm this person. Hi. Unbelievable. It like filled my heart with such joy being on a thread where I was ready to rage. And then it's just like page after page of Lindsay Stroud going, oh, but look at all these adult vapors. Oh, but look at all these adult vapors. Oh, but look at all these adult vapors. Awesome. Awesome advocacy. If I had a bumper or some music, you would get even funkier disco music than the Newsy bits, Lindsay Stroud, because that was awesome. I'm going to post a link in the description, and really what I would encourage everybody to do is jump on this thread and don't reply and call people names or anything. Just go like all of Lindsay's replies. Like give those the love. Draw attention to all of those videos, you know? I think that makes a huge statement on a thread like this.
I agree. And also, what you could also do is join in and be like, I am a 40-something-year-old, whatever you are. I was not able to quit. My favorite flavor is X. And literally give your little testimony in there also and just bolster. You know what I mean? Like, do that. Don't go calling anybody names. Just follow Lindsay and be like, hi, I'm also a person who's a grown-up who likes cotton candy and who blah, blah, blah. You know, more evidence.
More evidence. And, you know, it's like Alex said the other week, your stories matter. Your stories really do matter. And in every context, they matter. When you're talking to a senator, they matter. When you're talking to lawmakers and you know, officials or city councilors or USPS, your story absolutely does matter. So I don't know, just go jump on that thread and shout out to Lindsay Stroud for being awesome. I also just want to say, I love Cliff Douglas. I just love him ever since Cliff Douglas. So Cliff Douglas sent out his like manifesto. We talked about it here, and it's called "It's Time to End. It's time to act with integrity and end the internecine warfare over e-cigarettes." And I thought this was a really big document, and it seems to be getting to people who are noticing it a little bit. Because one of the things that came out of this is an incredible article. What was the name of it, Danielle? You're a little bit more familiar with it than I am.
It's
from it out.
Right. It's from Philanthropy, and it's called "Bloomberg's Millions Funded an Effective Campaign Against Vaping. Could it do more harm than good?" Yes. Could it do more harm? This is an excellent article.
This is Danielle Jones. This is one of the best things I've read in months. It's a Michelle Mitten like length.
It is. It is.
It's long. It's it's a long read, and it's in like a serif font in little type, and my dyslexic dumb guy brain, it's taken me forever to get through this, but it's incredible. I can't say enough good things about this. I mean, he goes over, who was the person that wrote this? Do you know off the top of your head?
Mark, it starts with a B. Hang on, give me 2 seconds. Mark Gunther. No, not a B, a G.
Mark Gunther. What now? And what is Mark Gunther? I was just on his Twitter profile, and I don't know what I don't know what he does, what he is. What's
he is a veteran journalist, speaker, and writer who reported on business and sustainability for many years. Since 2015, he's been writing about foundations, nonprofits, and global development on his blog, Nonprofit Chronicles.
Yes. Okay. He's the perfect person to be writing about this, and he's very critical of Bloomberg. He's very critical of like the prohibitionist stance that Bloomberg Philanthropies takes on vaping, and he kind of lays it all out there as far as, well, here's what they're trying to do. They're doing this tactic. They're doing this. Right. The science shows this. World Health Organization is saying this, that, and the other. It's incredible. I can't recommend it enough. I'm going to put it. I'm definitely going to put it down in the description. Cliff is the one who tweeted that and brought that to my attention. And he's got a little quote right there where he says...
they quoted him from his paper.
Yeah. We are neck deep in intractable internecine warfare. This guy who wrote this big piece was citing the Cliff paper, the Cliff Manifesto. And I like the idea of the Cliff Manifesto getting to people who are going to like deep dive into it.
Yes.
Look into this Bloomberg Philanthropies, dark money, whatever, prohibition type of stuff, and are going to bring much more of that like to the surface. It was really refreshing on Twitter today seeing like a verified checked mark person writing this philanthropy story, and I felt like, like not a huge shift, but like a little crevice, like a little boop, just a little shift in something, and I kind of went, oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. Yep. Here we go, right?
And this guy did a really good job of like going through all of the stuff that we talk about all the time, but not making it seem like any kind of like weird conspiracy theory, right? Because that's the problem we as vapors, the defenders of vaping, that's the problem that we have is a lot of times we sound a little crazy talking about, these organizations who are like lying and they're doing it for this reason and you can't trust what you see on the media because this, but I swear we're not crazy. But also, this guy, Mark does a really good job of just going through it and going like, here's what they say. Here's why this isn't accurate. Here's what they're doing. Here's why it doesn't work. Like he's just very matter of fact. And I'm just like, normal people could read this and be like, oh shit, like they could see it, without having to feel like they have to put their tinfoil hat on and jump off a bridge or something.
Right. And it's very well written, and it's coming from someone with authority. It's coming with someone, with credibility and credentials. Right. And it's like, I'm just, look at me. I have tattoos on my throat of Star Wars. Like, how do I get on YouTube and talk about the World Health Organization and Bloomberg Philanthropies and their dark money in the Philippines? I just look and sound like a crazy person. So it's really nice to see this science and this dissemination of what's going on come from this source. It's incredible. I think this is one of the best things I've ever read, and I will absolutely, like, you guys don't understand. We could dedicate 2 full TBN episodes as a deep dive into this one article. Like that's how thoroughly, robustly, in-depth it lays out everything that we've been talking about. It brings up EVALI and it talks about lung injuries and continuum of risk, and
talks about Matt Myers, talks about Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Bloomberg, gets into the prohibitionist attitudes. It gets into, various organizations calling nicotine brain poison, all of it. It gets into it's just glorious. You guys go read it and share it. Read it. Like we also need to show these news organizations like Philanthropy that when they write something like this, we're going to send a lot of traffic to their site because 100%. We super support this. We want them to create more content like this. Like share it everywhere, you guys. Email it to your parents. Like, I don't even know. You know what I mean? Just send it anywhere and everywhere and get people to read this.
Yeah, and it's true. We do need to show support when people do things great, or when we have great stories like this or great articles like this. We do need to help it. In the same way, we do also need. It's why we show resistance to things too. It's why if you go on Twitter and you see a politician who tweets about subject A, no interaction, subject B, no interaction, subject C, this tweet got 1 like, and then this person will tweet about vaping, and then suddenly it's like 90 comments.
Right.
They need to see that response. They need to see that when they tweet about vaping, that there is a response, that there is a resistance behind it. I think that's really important, because otherwise they'll just steamroll you, man.
Oh yeah. They're like, oh, nobody's paying attention. Let me just do this to make myself look good.
Sure. Flavor bans. Absolutely.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds awesome. Sounds like that's what Canada's doing, flavor bans and nicotine. And it's not just a nicotine cap in Canada. It's like they're pushing for a full-on flavor ban. It's kind of crazy. I had a few more little newsy things. In news that will surprise literally nobody, China wants to regulate ends exactly like tobacco products.
Interesting.
Not horribly surprising or horribly interesting. I mean, the Chinese, what is it? The Chinese National Tobacco Corporation is a monopoly of the government. The government runs the tobacco trade.
Yeah, it's like state-owned.
Yeah, it's state-owned tobacco monopoly. And so I'm not crazy surprised under those circumstances that they're going to go, well, that's definitely get rid of cigarettes competition.
Right.
The government owns the tobacco industry.
Yeah, you think the MSA is bad? Go to China, bro.
Yeah, you think the MSA?
They literally own that shit.
Yeah, literally. And well, it's funny because I knew about this news before I saw this news, and I'm not trying to just be braggy, but there are 2 stocks from China that I've been watching recently, and one of them is Relx. They make pods. It's a publicly traded vape company in China, and the other one's S'more, which is the parent company of Vaporesso. Mm-hmm. And I've been watching these on Google, and I noticed both of them recently just went,
stock went down.
And I went, what the hell is going on? Then this comes across my inbox, and they say it even in here, Relx technology, it's down a ridiculous, down 45% or something like this, just with this news that China's going to regulate these ends products like tobacco. Horrible, but what can you possibly do in China to fight the Chinese Communist Party government? Like, they don't even allow pictures of Winnie the Pooh because, he gets upset and things like this. So that's the thing. And in other news that I wish I never had to even say this sentence, FDA sent its 69th PMTA warning letter. So yes, congratulations. Whoopee. Congratulations, FDA. I say a lot of negative things about the FDA, but at the end of the day, they did send out a lot of PMTA warning letters. Love them or hate them, they did shut down a lot of businesses. FDA had 14 years to regulate vapor products, but then inevitably just chose, here we are 14 years later, and they're spending money and resources and allocating time and energy to just enforcement of their PMTAs rather than just, hey, let's review the PMTAs. Let's regulate vaping. I'll never understand this FDA's, it feels like 2009 all over again where they're seizing shipments at the border.
Yeah,
and now in 2021, they're seizing shipments at the border. I'm like, 14 years ago, you were doing the same thing till a judge told you to stop. And it looks like you spent the last 14 years just trying to get that right back to seize
it where
at
it
the
was.
Border, right?
Right.
I hate it. I hate it. So FDA sent its 69th PMTA letter warning. That's spectacular. I always point out rights for vapors up there in Canada, but there is a new website that I want every Canadian to go to because we're going to start talking about Canada and the nicotine cap and the upcoming potential flavor ban. There's this website right here. It's just a tiny little logo. I didn't know where to put it. Would I put it up here? I put it over here? Put it right here?
Put it on my face, right there.
Right there. That's perfect. Okay. Go to Tobaccokills. Yeah, right there. right there. Go to Tobaccokills.ca. And what this is, okay, I'll move it off.
Somebody meme that. That's hysterical.
So what this is it's kind of like a really condensed down CASAA call to action. You go to Tobaccokills.ca and you have two options. You have two calls to actions to take, and that's all you do. You take one call to action. This is for Canadians. You take the other call to action. One of them sends a letter to your MP. One of them sends your statement to something else in your province, or I don't know exactly.
I believe you.
I know they don't have states or things like that up in Canada. I'm not super familiar with Canada, and I feel a little ridiculous. I feel like
they have parliament, and I just get confused. I don't know.
But they definitely have like provinces, right? Like different areas.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Like giant states or something.
Yeah, humongous states. Yeah, just call them giant states. Canada
giant states.
Giant states. The giant states of Canada.
Exactly.
The giant states of Canada.
Americans have to relate everything to what we do, so that's all we can do, guys. I don't know what to tell you. They're giant states.
It's so dumb, too, and I always feel like such a dumb American when I'm like, how does the government work in Canada? Like, I'm a 44-year-old adult American, and I don't know how that works. That is unacceptable.
Nope. Do they wear wigs, too? Do they wear wigs?
Do they wear wigs? No, they don't wear the powdered wigs. That's only a British thing. I think that's just a British thing. Okay. House of something over there. Tobaccokills.ca. Yeah, they do have a parliament, but I don't know. Okay. You know, I know that wasn't it the French that settled Canada, and that's why a lot of Canadians speak French, and there's like French Canada areas where they speak just French.
I know there's areas where they primarily speak French. I don't know anything about why it's that way. Sorry, Canada. I didn't study your history. I don't know. I just know you're nice. You say sorry, and you have a lot of maple syrup. That's all I know.
Yeah. Also hockey.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right? I don't really care about hockey. I like maple syrup though. So.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't love maple syrup? Who doesn't love Tim Hortons donut? I mean, come on. There's lots to love about Canada, including
PSS says they live in igloos. No, wait, I thought that was Alaska.
Inaccurate.
I'm very confused now.
Maybe there are portions of Canada where they do live in igloos. I don't know. Maybe. I guess
could be because Canada's near Alaska, isn't it? Canada's so big, I can't remember where it goes.
Canada connects us to Alaska. Yes,
right. Okay, so maybe they do live in igloos in some areas. I'm really fascinated by this.
Have you ever seen like them make igloos that are actually like really holding heat and everything like this? It's unbelievable.
I saw, where they had like a hotel made out of ice and snow or something.
Crazy.
Oh yeah, that's
like
really
actual
crazy.
Igloo. Okay, anyway, so Tobaccokills.ca, because there's nicotine caps and a flavor ban, all possibly on the cards in Canada. And this, I'm taking this information from this opinion piece, which has, of course, this very shocking headline: Health Canada's nicotine caps will kill people. This was written by a economist, a professor of economics at Concordia University, which I believe in California, but he himself might be Canadian. I'm not sure. His name's not that. His name is Ian Irvine, which I tried to Google, but it turns out he's a hard person to Google because there's another Ian Irvine who is an Australian, like, fantasy writer, like fiction about like dragons and knights and things like this. Ian Irvine. I learned all about this Australian fantasy writer because I was trying to Google a professor of economics.
Seems legit.
Internet's a weird place.
Try Googling me. I dare you.
Danielle Jones.
Try it. You'll honestly, be like, she got murdered?
Anything with the last name Jones, it's like, I feel like that's just a very, I'm not trying to rag on your last name, Danielle Jones.
Oh no, I like the anonymity. Jones. I'm like, find me, try it.
I am Jones. We are many.
Oh my God, I should get that tattooed on me.
I am Jones. We are many.
We are many.
Health Canada's nicotine caps will kill people. The sad truth is that's real, but it is a very alarming sort of alarmist, a little bit of a headline. He says today's daily vapors consume about 1/15 the toxins that their daily smoking parents consumed at the same age. Harm reduction. If Health Canada has its way this year, vaping will be dealt 3 knockout blows that will see not just the end of the business as we know it, but an increase in smoking-related deaths nationwide. Ottawa is recalibrating the delicate equilibrium between harm reduction and youth use of nicotine. It doesn't seem like it should be that difficult, but apparently there is this delicate equilibrium. He says it plans to introduce a mandatory limit on nicotine concentration in e-cigarettes and to ban most flavors. Maximum permissible content is currently 66 milligrams per milliliter. That seems really high. Who makes 66 milligram pods? Does Juul make a 66 milligram pod for Canada or something?
They're in the 50s, I think. I thought that was their highest, was somewhere. Juul's thing's weird because they do like by weight, and then if you try to extrapolate it, it's somewhere in the 50s.
Yeah, I don't know. 66 just seems high. I mean, I'm not against it. Just seems high. He says the new limit will be 20. Eventually, we will see strike 3, excise taxes. Now, I think it's interesting that they're doing this because Health Canada, I just want to remind everybody that the government of Canada, Health Canada, says vaping is less harmful than smoking. Completely replacing cigarette smoking with vaping will reduce your exposure to harmful chemicals. There are short-term general health improvements if you completely switch from smoking cigarettes to vaping products. This is what they admit. But they still want to ban flavors and cap the nicotine at 20 milligrams. I think that you can say that nicotine caps, I think, would kill people. I don't know if flavor bans could also, I think, technically kill people too.
I mean, technically it's not because you're de-incentivizing or preventing people from switching to less harmful alternatives. If they stay at the harmful one, they will very likely eventually die. So, I mean, it's very, clickbaity, but that's what the other side does all the time.
The time. I don't feel bad about it.
I don't feel bad about it either. It's not true.
Yeah, exactly. It's not true. So he goes on to talk about stuff that we kind of already knows about. He talks about, a little bit of the science behind vaping. He talks about youth uptake and experimentation. He talks about different nicotine strengths. He talks about how, despite calling it a gateway over and over and over again, there's no evidence that it's a gateway because we continue to have the lowest adult and youth smoking rates in the history of recorded time. He talks about, it's not harmless. No one's ever claiming that it's harmless. And what we're doing is we're looking at harm reduction, right? These are the arguments that we've made and we've heard 1,000 times. And he goes on to say that there's really even no evidence at all that suddenly cutting a nicotine level down to 20% is going to have any effect on youth, anything at all. It's crazy. It's crazy. And he gets down here and he says, but for adult smokers, people considering a transition from smoking to vaping require a product yielding enough nicotine to satisfy their cravings. Many potential switchers will not make the transition and will end up dying prematurely if they cannot get a strong enough nicotine substitute for their cigarettes. Canada has about 40,000 smoking-related deaths per year. So if even a small percentage of smokers don't transition because of insufficient nicotine, that will mean thousands more deaths annually. Yeah. If you're okay with being, if you're okay with a nicotine cap, knowing that large portions of smokers will remain smoking because of that nicotine cap, you kind of have to be okay with just saying, I don't care if those smokers die or not. And I think that's a terrible stance to take. And I think it's unbelievable that Health Canada, after having statements like this, saying there are general short-term health improvements if you completely switch, will also turn around and want a nicotine cap and a flavor ban. It's kind of unbelievable to me. It will kill people. He ends it by saying, if Health Canada succeeds in introducing both a nicotine cap and a flavor ban on vaping, smoking rates will continue to be higher than necessary, and many thousands of unnecessary deaths will follow. Yes, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Degree is not even a word. I mean, it is a word, but it's not in this context.
But not for that one.
Right,
yeah.
Not for this one. And that's why I think it's important to frequently and as often as you can push back against everything the government ever puts out at you ever. Even if you're not against a nicotine cap, even if you go, I'd be okay with a nicotine cap, be resistant to it, even if you're okay with it, because again, they need to feel that pushback. And truly and honestly, we should be against nicotine caps. I don't agree with nicotine caps. And what about,
maybe I don't use 20 milligram or whatever it is, or 25, let's say. But, what if this, my neighbor who smokes, who would need 25 milligram in order to stop smoking? Like 100%. You also have to think about this in the context of future vapors, right? We're trying to protect stuff for ourselves, obviously, but we're also trying to protect it for people who still currently smoke. We need options for them. You know what I mean? The less options they have, the less likely they may be to use this to switch. So, I mean, it's about more than just what you need and protecting it for you. It's also for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, 100%. Absolutely 100%. Look, this is going to sound tinfoily, but I was looking through the Health Canada website, and they still have their stance on vaping. They still say that it's less harmful than smoking and completely switching can be beneficial and things like this. But they use one line where they say, and it seems to be like a recurring thing, wherever you see Bloomberg philanthropy jargon sort of repeated, and that is this whole idea that vaping can definitely lead to like opioid addiction. Right? They say vaping can lead to pills, vaping can lead to opioids, and that nomenclature, that messaging is purely Bloomberg. Purely
There's
WHO
no evidence of
framework.
that.
There's no evidence of that
at all.
As we'll talk about when we talk about the World Health Organization. But Health Canada uses that same phrasing, and it kind of makes me wonder, maybe Health
Bloomberg's
Canada,
probably up there.
Yeah, Bloomberg's probably up there.
I would guess that, and I just assumed it. To be honest with you, I just assumed they were doing this because of him.
He's kind of trying to get his greasy tentacles all over the place. We talked about, we've reported about him in the Philippines. This is absolutely a Bloomberg move, talking about youth use and flavors, and that vaping can lead kids to pill addiction and opiate addiction. That is Bloomberg messaging. And Health Canada is just eating it up with no maple syrup. That's the worst part. I know. That's the worst part, really, if you think about it. So, yeah, one more time, bringing your attention back around to Tobaccokills.ca. If you are against this nicotine cap, and if you are against a flavor ban in the country, and you are against Bloomberg philanthropies, go to Tobaccokills.ca. Follow those two calls to actions. Do it.
I wish they picked a different URL, but what do you do?
Know. I see. I kind of like it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, but we're not prohibitionists, right? And that even applies to smoking. So if we're not okay with them, using that language, why are we using it?
But tobacco does
safer.
Kill.
It does, but that's not the way to get people to stop doing it, right? That's not a proven.
Right. And I think
it's just a little. It's a little.
It is. I mean, it is. It is, but it isn't. Because I thought this was I thought this was a pretty slick little tobacco kills. You always see vapors and vape organizations using other nomenclatures, safe alternatives, clean nicotine, and the
reduced harm. Yes.
Reduced harm. We never are on the offensive with tobacco. You never see vapors going. I mean, except for
I think that's because we'd be hypocrites because we did it. I mean, how many times as a smoker did somebody walk up to you and go, that's going to kill you, right? Did that change your mind about smoking?
Right.
No.
Right.
Then why are we going to beat that drum when we know firsthand it doesn't work? Like, that's my, like, it's kind of hypocritical of us because we used to do it, right? We know that messaging doesn't work.
Right.
How about we just, it's just a little, like, okay, it's their URL, whatever. But, like, I would have picked something different personally, but.
I see it. So here's my take on it. Here's my hot take on it. I see it more as like they chose the URL Tobaccokills.ca, which is Canada, I think to me that shows the government that vapors do not want to be associated with tobacco. It's vapors saying, look, we know tobacco kills. This doesn't.
Right.
I think that's showing the government we don't want to be associated with tobacco. Vapors don't want to be associated with tobacco. Even the word tobacco. Tobacco is what kills.
But that operates under the assumption that they're going to separate the two in their mind, which so far they haven't. So we're not really helping ourselves.
Yeah. Well, head over to Tobaccokills.ca. We're split on our approval of it. That's interesting, URL. Though. It's fun. I was really surprised to hear you say that because up until that moment, I was like, I really like Tobaccokills.ca. It's like, I'm
not a fan. I'm not. Why are we going to use the prohibitionist tactics? Why are we going to do that? We're different. We're better than that.
We are different. We are different, and we are better than that. And you know who else we're better than is Bloomberg. And this article from Bloomberg News, look how shockingly alarmist this is. Marlboro maker asks FDA to convince Americans nicotine isn't that bad. He just had to throw Marlboro maker. He couldn't have said PMI or Philip Morris International. It had to be Marlboro maker.
So like
Marlboro maker. And so what's going on with this? And I'm not going to spend any time reading the actual Bloomberg article of it because we're gonna read, I think in full, a very nice critique of it from Brad Roudou. Nailed it. Brad Roudou, and it's spectacular. So what's going on here? And the reason that this article even exists is ALTRIA is urging FDA. They wrote a letter to FDA saying, hey, can you just tell the truth? Like, that's really all they're asking. It's kind of like, hey, tell the truth.
Right.
FDA has been studying nicotine for decades. We have so much information on nicotine. We know how addictive it is. We know all of the harms that can possibly cause, and it's basically ALTRIA is just asking FDA to, hey, tell the truth. Just that's kind of it.
We sell 80 million gums and patches over the counter without even a prescription. Your doctor recommends it to you. How about we try to dispel some of the misinformation about nicotine? Because nicotine is FDA approved. So 100%. Clearly it's not the evil thing.
100%.
But you make it evil when it's convenient for you, and then when it's inconvenient, you make it sound good because gums. What is happening right now?
I know. I think organizations like FDA are at this like weird point that they didn't think about, where you can't continue to demonize vaping nicotine while continuing to praise NRT nicotine.
Right.
You can't keep doing that. You can't go.
It can't be good over here.
Our nicotine's good, but this nicotine is bad. They're reaching.
And they've got nicotine inhalers too.
Yeah.
So it's not like inhaling it is different because there's an inhaler. Okay. Like, I get it. There are other considerations for vaping, like vaping of flavors. But when we're talking strictly about nicotine, nah, bro, you don't get to do that. Like, my version's okay, but that one's not.
Well, and that's one of the things that fucking Stanton. Oh, wrong one. No, wrong one. I'm trying to find old Glancy.
Where is he?
Oh, there's old. Watch out. That's something that Stanton Glantz constantly drives home with. This is all of his messaging is always like, well, it's not FDA approved. It's not FDA approved.
Neither is the yogurt you ate for breakfast, Stanton.
Right.
Give me a break.
I don't think Stanton eats yogurt. Stanton drinks.
The car you drive is not FDA approved.
It's not FDA approved.
I mean,
that's what Stanton Glantz is like. Really big, huge takeaway. In fact, where is his? Oh, see, now I'm getting out of order. So let's just stick with this. Let's just stick with this. Bloomberg. He has this big long article. It's very alarmist. There's many sort of problems and issues with it. And at the very end, I just want to bring this in and I just want to read this paragraph because Brad Roudou
like
is going
raw
to,
WWF.
Roudou. All right. Roudou. So in this, listen to this scientist quoted in this Bloomberg article. Nicotine isn't benign, said Eric Lindblom, a former senior advisor to the FDA Center for Tobacco Products and now a senior scholar at the O'Neill Institute, a health research group at Georgetown University. Studies show it can interfere with brain development and birth outcomes. It's an agricultural poison in large doses. What? Why?
What does that have to do with anything? You realize that all medications in your cabinet, if you take it in large doses, is probably going to kill you.
Yes. Also, if you drink too much water, that will kill you, that you will die. But you don't run up to someone drinking a bottle of water on the street and just smack it out of their hand and be like, I'm so glad if you drink too much water, you'll die.
You could die.
You'll die.
The dosage makes the poison. There are plenty of things in our life that at too high of concentrations would be bad for us, and at the right concentration have positive health effects and or do something good for us.
Yes.
What it's used for in agriculture has literally nothing to do with anything. You want to talk about what chemotherapy is? Okay. You want to talk about what a lot of pills are? Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Look, yes, I know. And it's one of those things that doesn't make any sense because you don't even need to say that kind of stuff about cigarettes, right? You don't say, 1,000 cigarettes could burn down. You don't have to make these crazy exaggerated claims because cigarettes are terrible. But nicotine vaping, it's like where everybody seems to be landing on nicotine vaping is the worst thing that's going to happen is you are addicted to something. Right. This is what we've established. This is all of the harm from vaping is that you'll just be addicted. You might be dependent. Right. You not even barely. You might be dependent on something. Word better. Yeah, I like it much better because I don't know. Maybe
addiction has negative connotations.
An addiction. Yeah, but I mean it's not even factually accurate. I mean if you think about
it's a weird word that doesn't really have a strict definition, so it's real weird.
Yeah. Well, and also, it has to do with harms where you would keep doing something despite the health outcomes or despite the harms
that are happening, right?
Involved. So it's not really a super accurate word for that.
No.
And so Brad Roudou?
Yes, you got it.
I always want to say Roudou. Brad Roudou. Brad Roudou. Give us Brad Roudou's credentials. What does Brad Roudou do?
So he's one of the longest running researchers of smokeless tobacco that I am aware of in the United States. Mm-hmm. He's been researching smokeless and snus for like a bajillion years. He's like one of the, I think, resident experts in the United States on smokeless tobacco. He's gotten a lot of shit for it, basically, over the years because he started looking at the research and was like, hey, way before vaping was around, he was like, this is a reduced harm thing. Like, this is actually could help people. Right. And he got, a lot of shit for that. But he is a professor at University of Louisville. And he's a super smart dude who's been researching, basically tobacco harm reduction and smokeless products for like a long time. Also, he always wears bow ties and it's amazing.
He is. He's an adorable dude. And as Danielle, that's quite the list of credentials. He seems to be just what I put in my Twitter profile. He seems to be the actual like professional tobacco control critic.
Yes.
right?
Yeah, he's the one that goes after Glantz. You know what I mean? He'll go after oh yeah, he spearheaded the effort to get that Glantz heart attack paper retracted. Like other people helped, but my understanding was that Brad was like, he drove that bus. You know what I'm saying? There were a lot of people on the bus, but I think that he drove it.
Yeah, I definitely think he was driving that bus. And so I'm going to just read this because it's a quick little kind of blog entry. And just for the record, Brad, just install a new theme on your blog, please.
I know. I want to redo it for him. I'm like, can I just set you up with a WordPress?
Pro bono. Pro bono. We could do that. We could do that. We could get that work done. Yeah, Brad, I'm begging you. The information here is so good, but it's on the default Blogger,
Yeah, it is. It is.
And he puts these huge images that move the text. Anyway, it's just kind of awkward. But
it's precious. Here's
what Brad had to say about this great Bloomberg article where Marlboro makers of Marlboro, and even just hang on. Where's the headline? Where's the GD headline? I want to point out something else about this headline too. Convince. They use this word convince. And to me, that stuck out to me like they're almost saying, they almost want to insinuate that Marlboro is trying to ask the FDA to trick you.
Right.
That's the
it's a lie.
Right. Like it's a lie. Like that's kind of the connotation right there. Marlboro, they want the FDA to trick you. They want the FDA to trick you to thinking, nicotine isn't that bad when it is really bad because it can addict you to nicotine.
Oh no, that's a biased word. It should have said Marlboro maker asks FDA. Actually, it should have said ALTRIA asks FDA to educate Americans about how nicotine. How about that verb, educate? That's what Convince. The accurate. Let's rewrite the headline. GrimmGreen. ALTRIA maker, or no, not maker. ALTRIA asks FDA to educate Americans about nicotine. About nicotine. How about that?
About nicotine.
Isn't that bad? About, I don't know, something. I'd have to think about it for
nicotine.
A minute.
How about we'll just use the Sally Satel headline and we'll just say, try to educate Americans that nicotine isn't the villain.
Yeah, there you go. Or nicotine isn't the villain. There you go. I like it.
Nicotine's not the villain. Nicotine's not the villain. Brad says, in an article published on March 4th, Bloomberg reporter Tiffany Carey quotes from a February 25 letter sent to the FDA from Paige Magnus, cool name, tobacco manufacturer Altria's senior vice president for regulatory affairs. Per the article, Altria asked FDA to tackle misperceptions about nicotine as part of a proposed $100 million advertising campaign to reduce the harm caused by tobacco. 3/4 of U.S. adults incorrectly believe nicotine causes cancer, Altria said in the communication, citing government research. So Altria is essentially showing the government their own research, right? And saying, can you just go by this, what you said?
Yeah, the thing that you said that you've been saying, can you just tell the people that so they don't, because there's this survey out that says that 80% of doctors and 80% of Americans falsely think that nicotine is bad and causes cancer. Yes. That's not true because you have decades of research. Could you just make an effort to correct this misinformation?
You're not doing anything to fix this or correct this gap in knowledge. Doing nothing.
And if that headline said Johnson & Johnson asks FDA to educate Americans that nicotine isn't bad, we'd be having a completely different conversation, and Bloomberg wouldn't have written that, right? Because Johnson & Johnson makes NRT products. So if it came from them, everybody would probably be like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Comes from Altria, and they're like, lies.
Yeah. Lies.
How could it be true here and false here? I'm just going to say it again. Stop it.
Stop it. The article continues. The drug has even been touted as a way to ease tension and sharpen the mind, before noting that it is the ingredient that addicts people to tobacco products, and it has risks, including possibly making people more susceptible to abusing opioids. That is an exclusively Bloomberg-ism. he's the only person, the Bloomberg philanthropies are the only ones pushing the making people more susceptible to abusing opioids. And
also, they used weasel words, didn't they? Didn't that say may?
Yes. May. It says possibly making more people susceptible to abusing opioids.
In your dreams, bitch.
Yeah. It's such a far off thing. It's such just how does that make sense in anybody's brain ever? No. That vaping would somehow, do cigarettes do the same thing? Do cigarettes lead people to opioids? No.
We've never talked about that before.
Never
Does alcohol?
Yeah, we've never discussed that.
Use drugs? No, we don't really talk about that.
But damn it, that gummy bear flavor in your nicotine vape, you're gonna go, oh, this tastes good. Hey, you guys, have you ever tried?
Want to try some Oxy?
Yeah, exactly. Good Lord.
Those go together.
Tout. He says, tout is a derogatory term meaning to describe or advertise boastfully. Given that nicotine conveys many proven benefits, here and here, he lists them, touting is not required. Still, Bloomberg irresponsibly and inaccurately paints it as a gateway to hard drugs. ALTRIA is not wrong to ask the FDA to combat misinformation about nicotine and tobacco, but the agency is unlikely to act on their request. FDA officials have made their position clear, saying, in essence, we will continue to tell Americans that all nicotine and tobacco products are dangerous. Any manufacturer's claims to the contrary about their products must be approved by us first. Hard line in the sand, FDA. All nicotine products are dangerous. All. And then, but you'd go to the FDA and you'd say, are all nicotine products dangerous? And they'd go, yes, all nicotine products are dangerous. And then you could show them their own data and go, well, what about general snus and the continuum of risk?
Right.
It's like the meme of that guy patting his head trying to figure out which button to press. It's like nicotine either is a gateway to cigarettes or, it's like can't figure out which button to press. It's because you can't press either of them because you painted yourself into this weird corner and you can't get out of it. Gateway to hard drugs. Come on. Approved
what about Nicorette, bro? What about Nicorette?
Sure. Yeah. Is everybody that chewed Nicorette gum, are they just opiate? They're just crazy addicted to opiates now. It just went straight to hard drugs.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. Nicotine gum. You never know.
Nicotine lozenges, perhaps?
Yeah. Just one lozenge can spiral your life into hard drugs, a gateway to hard drugs. Bloomberg says the agency does have the budget and marketing chops to reach the masses through its public education campaigns, but the agency uses much of those resources on targeting the health risks of products made by the likes of ALTRIA. Its recent real cost. Its recent real cost ads say oral tobacco can cause mouth cancer, which is not true according to this government research. Tooth loss, which is totally bogus, brown teeth and jaw pain, also caused by coffee and chewing gum. While most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine. In addition to filling smokers' brains with misinformation, the FDA's Real Cost campaign cost taxpayers real money. In a commentary published last year in the American Journal of Public Health, I commented that the second largest FDA Center for Tobacco Products budget item, I didn't know this. Did you know this before this?
I think so.
$159 million? And all it goes to, it's 22% of their budget. All it goes to is public education campaigns and communications to reduce tobacco use and tell targeted audience about the harms of tobacco product use. $159 million to tell youths that they shouldn't vape because it will addict them to nicotine? Should we have spent... It's not a taxing problem. It's a spending problem.
It's a spending problem.
In this category, the Real Cost Youth E-Cigarette Prevention Campaign shows e-cigarettes invading adolescent brains, adolescent bodies as worms, and a magician converting e-cigarettes into combustible tobacco cigarettes. The FDA has acknowledged, apparently without concern, that the campaign convinces adult smokers that e-cigarettes are equally more harmful than cigarettes, thus suppressing quitting. Attempting to lend credence to the story, Bloomberg, remember the science quote, Bloomberg quotes Eric Lindblom, a lawyer who has worked for the FDA and for the Prohibitionist Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, offering the pseudo-revelation that nicotine isn't benign. Has any vapor organization, CASAA, SFATA, Rights for Vapors, CAFRA, any organization, INCO, ever said that nicotine is benign?
No.
I've never heard that. Who's
It's a
ever
stimulant.
said that? It's a stimulant. No one has ever, I have never said nicotine's benign. Nicotine's completely benign. No one's ever said that.
There's not a lot in this world that is completely benign, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
yeah, really.
Again,
nothing.
drink too much water. I feel like oregano, if you eat too much, probably is not benign. You know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
No.
It'll at least mess you up the next day.
Yeah, we liken it to a similar stimulant, which is caffeine. Now, in people's minds, caffeine is no big deal. Not really sure why nicotine should be much different than that, but that's our point.
Yeah.
Not saying it doesn't do anything. We're just saying that it is like other things that we also consume and don't freak out about.
Yeah, but even, I know, and Eric Lindbaum even saying this, nicotine isn't benign. To me, that's just a straw man argument. Him saying, well, nicotine isn't benign. He's kind of insinuating that, oh, everybody else is telling you, all the vapors and all the, the vape orgs are telling you that nicotine is benign, but nicotine is not benign.
No one's saying
when
that.
Really, no one is saying that. He just knocked up, he set up and knocked down his own little straw man argument. Well, nicotine isn't benign. Lundholm opines that nicotine can interfere with brain development. That is a documented fallacy. And birth outcomes.
Adolescent rodents only.
Yeah, it did interfere with brain development in adolescent rodents. And then closes it with a non sequitur that it is an agricultural poison in large doses. What relevance of large dose agricultural applications to smokers, drippers, and vapors? Absolutely zero, as with the value of the cited Bloomberg hit piece. Yeah, no holding back. He just straight up called it a hit piece. And
Brad calls it like he sees it.
Yeah, Brad calls it like he sees it. Calls it like he sees it, and it is a hit piece full of wrong things, full of half-truths, whole lies, and we need to be reminded yet again that, in large doses, nicotine can be an agricultural insecticide. Okay. Along with lots of stuff. Caffeine, I believe, as well, can also be an insecticide.
I think it is, actually. I thought I heard that too, like in really high doses. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
It definitely is. Now, before I get to Glantz's take on this, hang on. I did see some super chats coming, and I apologize. I haven't got to any of them yet. Who was this first one? I can't read the name, but it says, "Hey guys, humbly wondering if you can do a piece on refrigeration of e-liquid. There's a lot of conflicting info online. Interested because I have a buttload of juice and I have some in the fridge. Fridge is a good step. You can freeze nicotine for a really long time in an airtight container, up to 6 years in your freezer. I'll try to track down a link to an old ECF thread where there was a chemistry professor talking about this exact subject, and he said himself he kept something like 2 liters of nicotine in his fridge in an airtight container for 6 years with no change, no oxidizing, no nothing, no degradation. So it can be done. Freezer, fridge. Yes, it will help. Yes. And I'll put a link down in the description to whoever that person is. And I'm sorry, I can't see your name. But Christopher Murdoch had a super chat here. The 66 milligram Nic is what DIY users. Oh.
Yeah, Janine said that to me too in chat. It was a limitation on like purchasing nicotine strengths, like straight nicotine.
That actually makes a lot of sense because I'm sitting here thinking there's no 66 milligram Juul pods
I don't
or anything
think
like that.
So. No, but it's for like raw ingredient type situations.
Okay. So if this cap goes through, DIY nicotine would also be capped at 20 milligram.
Yep.
That's really very interesting. That kind of ruins DIY. I mean, you could get a lot of 3 milligram out of 20 milligram concentrate, I'm sure, but not nearly as much as if you could get like 100 milligram.
Right, it just
DIY.
makes it more expensive.
It's just going to make it more expensive. It's going to kind of reduce the appeal of DIY.
Right.
Yeah, let's keep reducing the appeal of the best quit smoking aid in the history of earth.
Forever. Yeah. Let's just keep de-incentivizing people.
Oh,
what can we think of next?
Oh my God. It seems like it's just like they're not even hiding it anymore. And eventually they're just going to go, okay, look, only cigarettes.
Yeah, just smoke, please.
Only cigarettes, Unbelievable. In the UK, Aramac, there was one. Nick Ryan says, all I can say as a Canadian and having a parent who I have been trying to get to switch to vaping for years, I hope that they don't go through with it. Nick Ryan, I hope that they do not go through with it as well. And if they do, then the government of Canada has to be okay with knowing that their actions are leading directly to the deaths of lots of their citizens to the tune of 40,000 a year up in Canada. Aramanic says, in the UK, we have a nicotine cap and vaping is booming. Yeah, you do. And vaping is booming. But you know what the biggest problem in the UK right now? And it's not Bloomberg and it's not Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, although it's a little bit. The UK government can't get enough smokers to switch to vaping. They just can't do it. People won't do it. People are resistant. They hear news from the US. Maybe they try it. Maybe they don't like it. Britain wants to get to a smoke-free society, something by like 2030 or 2025 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to get there with a 20 milligram nicotine cap. I don't think they're going to get there with a nicotine cap. If the UK wants more of their citizens to vape, raise the nicotine cap, and you will see the smoking rates drop even further. More of your citizens will vape if you raise the nicotine cap, I guarantee you.
Also, take a rolled up newspaper and smack the United States every time they lie about it. That will also help.
Every single
Just
time.
saying.
Every single time.
Just a little whack. You know what I mean?
That kind of seems to be happening, though, recently with like the UK. The UK versus the World Health Organization is just one of my favorite things that's going on right now. Because World Health, they keep pushing that prohibitionist tobacco control framework, and the UK is just going, what?
What?
Like, no.
Are you
crazy?
high?
And now it seems like it's been going on so long that the UK and PHE and people like Martin Dockrell, are getting legitimately like mad, like angry, like, okay, that's enough type of things happening. Okay, that's enough. That's more than enough. Let's get back to Glantz. Here's his headline was that all the super chats though? I'm sorry. I missed some of the super chats there. I apologize. We'll get this headline right off of the screen. That's unbelievable that I would do that. Dave, patients might kill themselves easily with FDA-approved prescription drugs. Nicotine outside NRTs just doesn't generate profits for the pharmaceutical mafia. It doesn't.
I mean, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah, there's really no other way to say it. It just doesn't.
Nope.
Clean nicotine outside of NRTs and outside of tobacco only helps citizens. So slim chances of that being promoted, and they're not going to let it slip by without at least trying to take some of the credit for it. Dave Lloyd, hey Nick, Legion Vapes sent me. Thank you, Legion Vapes. Fighting the good fight. Always fighting the good fight, Dave Lloyd. I got Derek. How you doing, Derek? I just wanted to say thank you for info like always. I use a lot of what I learn here to educate customers at the shop I work at. Fuck yeah, Derek.
Woohoo. Fuck
yeah, Derek. Awesome. I'm glad you're here, bro. And we're trying to educate people as much as possible. So let's wrap up this whole like Bloomberg thing because Glantz chimed in about it too. And I'm not going to spend any. Just read the headline on his blog. FDA should ignore Philip Morris's request to tell the public that nicotine doesn't cause cancer. That is a crazy ass headline.
Wait,
FDA should ignore. Wait, what also?
I want to fact check something.
Ooh, what are you fact checking?
Okay, so
do I need to get rid of the headline?
The letter was from ALTRIA.
Yes.
Stanton Glantz said Philip Morris.
Right. Doesn't PMI own ALTRIA? PMI and ALTRIA are connected, I think.
It's very confusing, but they're separate. Glancy,
Really? Oh, yeah. Philip Morris. They are separate companies.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Trust me, I get confused all the time, but I do know that there's a difference, right? There was some Twitter fiasco where one of the groups said something, and I think it was Moira or somebody jumped in and was like, that's not the right company, right? And they had to like delete the tweet because Tobacco Control can't keep it straight either. They mix it up all the time too.
Oh, so that's what Glancy did here.
Altria is different than Philip. They have like, they're related. There's things. I don't remember all the ins and outs and incestuous situations going on, but sure. I'm pretty sure that is inaccurate. It wasn't a Philip Morris request. I believe it was an Altria, according to what Brad's saying. I just want to go ahead and fact check Stanton Glantz and just say one more thing about why he's apart
from him having the wrong company in the title. FDA, he thinks the FDA should ignore their request to tell the public that that nicotine doesn't cause cancer. I mean, that's what a crazy person says.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unbelievable. This is like, hey, FDA, lie about nicotine to Americans. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what he's saying. Mm-hmm. FDA, lie about nicotine to Americans. And so the funniest thing, oh my God, I can't believe I lost it. Oh no, here it is. The funniest thing, and I'm not going to spend any more time on Glantz because here's the thing. Ew, and Glantz, he's just like, I have respect for Stanton Glantz and for what he's done for tobacco control. I mean, he's a very prolific researcher in tobacco control at University of California, San Francisco. Like, that's nothing to blow your nose at. And there's nothing wrong with, I have to do this on a daily basis. There's nothing wrong with just admitting, like, I'm out of touch, right? I'm out of touch. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the whole deal. I'm out of touch with the science, whatever. And that's all he is. And I kind of feel bad for him a little bit because he's really trying to hang on there and stay relevant, and it kind of bums me out. And then if you get into this blog, the first sentence in the blog says, well, Philip Morris is correct that nicotine does not seem to cause cancer. That kills me, that with the headline saying FDA should ignore Philip Morris, the first thing he says is, well, Philip Morris is actually right. Nicotine does not seem to cause cancer. How did these two headlines go together? Hang on, I have to put them together. I don't know why I did this the bad way. This. FDA should ignore Philip Morris's request to tell the public that nicotine doesn't cause cancer. Philip Morris is correct, though, that nicotine does not seem to cause cancer. That is literally asking the FDA to lie. Yeah, and he has this like sort of, the thing that Philip Morris ignores is that nicotine makes cancer worse. Even that, I'm not a scientist or a doctor, and I know that even that is kind of too big of a blanket statement to make because it's not all tumors are affected by nicotine.
Exactly.
And as we reported last week, there was the study where she found that e-cigarettes are good for people going through chemotherapy and don't have a positive effect on some types of tumors.
Yeah, it's only a half truth. Like, and there's also other things out there, like somebody mentioned in chat, like sugar can also, cause, you know what I mean? So that's not a fair, I don't know what kind of shitty argument that is, but it's not a whole truth. There's nuance there, and they're just steamrolling. He's just steamrolling over it.
Yeah, there's exactly. There is nuance there, and he's kind of just steamrolling all over it. So I don't want to spend any more time on Stanton Glantz, but yeah, I'll post some links down in the description. I'm not going to post a link to the Bloomberg article because it's kind of behind a paywall anyway, and you don't really even need to read it. It's kind of stupid and unimportant, but you should definitely read the Brad Roudou critique of the Bloomberg article because it is spectacular. I'm going to have a whole mess of links to literally everything I talked about down in the description. And we're going to start wrapping this up, and we're going to wrap it up with some science-y stuff.
Nic Guy the Science Man.
Yeah, dusting off the old Nic Guy the Science Man bit. Old Nic Guy the Science Man bit. What do you got to say, Chasing Clouds and Flavor Reviews? Oh, wait, hang on. There was some more super chats that came in. Buy short fills and add all the nic you want. That's true. I mean, you can do that. But again, it's just one of those workarounds.
It's harder.
If a smoker, if you are an adult and you are smoking, you are used to a one-step process of here and now I'm smoking, and that's it, right? Boom, boom. Now I'm smoking. Now I have my nicotine. It's hard to say, oh, you can get that same nicotine in vaping. Oh, really? I can? Well, technically, yes, but you're going to have to, no, stay with me here. You're going to have to take all these bottles and sort of mix them all together. You need 3 20-milligram bottles to sort of mix this all together. At that point, a smoker's going to go, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll just smoke. I'll just smoke. So it's not a matter of being able to do it. It's a matter of being able to do it in a way that a smoker can go, oh, okay, this will work. You know, because there are too many fucking times when a smoker tries a vape, tries a e-cig, tries a Juul, tries a blue, tries a whatever, puffs on it and goes, nope. And then that's the last time they try vaping. That's unacceptable to me. And just that one simple pod couldn't win a smoker over. How on earth are we going to win a smoker over telling them they have to mix 3 bottles of liquid together before they can even vape?
Right.
You know, we should be making
not to mention the fact
so
that it's
easily accessible.
Battery and technology.
Right. And batteries and technologies. And it's like, well, you have to watch out for flavor. If your coil gets burnt and your wick gets dry, the flavor, you know, it's already a fucking complicated process.
It is.
We need to streamline this shit. And that's one of the reasons why I love pod systems so much is it's purely streamlined vaping.
Yep.
It's like, here you go.
Plug this in here and then puff on it.
Like the lowest steps possible. And sometimes that doesn't even work, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway. So yes, I definitely agree with you. If you want high nicotine, there is a way to get high nicotine. Buy a bunch of short fills. Chasing Clouds and Flavor Reviews, how are you doing? I hear people keep saying 60 milligram is a lot of nic, but that's just those people who think that I use 50 milligram in my original Cali burn while working and 3 milligram at home in larger devices. Same feeling for me. Yeah, right. Yes, absolutely correct. You have to consider the volume of vapor when you're thinking about things like nicotine. Like you certainly wouldn't take 30, 40 milligram salt nicotine and put it in an RTA and just rip it hard. You just wouldn't do that. When people vape 60 plus milligram nicotine, it's always out of a pod and they're always smaller, mouth to lung, get your nicotine, don't need to have a big song and dance and weather system everywhere.
Right.
But that same pod that can satisfy me while I'm at a rock show or at Disneyland or something like that, I can get home and take 3 pulls on a cloud chasing 3 milligram and still feel the same satisfied.
Right.
So you say, it's like, yes, you're vaping 3 milligram, but the volume of vapor is so exponentially bigger that you're probably getting a lot more nicotine than you think.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Right.
That's what I would say in response to that, Chasing Clouds. I agree with you. Over 10 mil tank can't contain nic anyways in the UK. Oh, yeah. Over 10 mil bottle can't contain nic anyway. So even if you want high nic, you're going to be mixing 30 different
tiny little bottles into
little nic shots, dude. Tiny little nic shots. Okay, so science. Do you know what a single arm study is, Danielle Jones? I don't.
I feel like I kind of know, but I don't want to say it.
While Danielle Jones facts checks that, we got a little bit of science here. A new study in Danielle Jones
found it. The simplest trial design is a single arm trial. In this design, a sample of individuals with the target medical condition is given the experimental therapy and then followed over time to observe their response. So it's what we're kind of used to seeing. There's more complex trials, but a single arm is what we're primarily used to seeing in most of these things that we report.
Single arm makes sense for this. A new study in nicotine and tobacco research published by Oxford University Press finds that the use of high-strength nicotine e-cigarettes can help adults with schizophrenia spectrum disorders quit smoking. I was fascinated by this. So many good things in this. And this is a prime example of why we need people like Roudou or someone to disseminate a study, like a raw scientific study, into words that kind of make sense, because the name of this study is a single-arm open-label pilot and feasibility study of high nicotine strength e-cigarettes intervention for smoking cessation or reduction for people with schizophrenia spectrum disorders who smoke cigarettes. That's crazy.
It's medical jargony, wordy words.
It's so medical jargony.
We're as bad as lawyers.
And that's why we need people to sort of, that's why we need people to disseminate, in my opinion, this kind of information. Some 60 to 90% of people with schizophrenia smoke cigarettes compared to 15 to 20% of the general population. As a result of high smoking rates, people with mental health conditions also have high rates of morbidity and mortality from smoking-related diseases compared with the general population. Therefore, quitting smoking is particularly important for this group of people. People with mental health disorders, schizophrenia spectrum disorders. It's harder for them to quit smoking than it is for even just a smoker. And if you're an adult cigarette smoker, you already know how hard it is. So imagine that exponentially worse. But what did this study find? Well, before we get to what the study found, we need to get to what the point of the study was. This study, 40 adults with schizophrenia spectrum disorders who smoked and did not intend to reduce or quit smoking participated in a 12-week study using Juul e-cigarettes loaded with 5% nicotine pods with a follow-up visit at 24 weeks. Well, I don't think I need to tell you how this went, because otherwise we wouldn't be reporting on it. Are you ready for some key findings? Some 40% of participants had stopped smoking traditional cigarettes by the end of 12 weeks. That's great. Mm-hmm. When you think about it's more difficult for a person on the schizophrenia spectrum disorder range to quit smoking, the fact that 40%, that's huge. Researchers observed an overall sustained 50% reduction in smoking or complete smoking abstinence in 92.5% of participants at the end of 12 weeks. Researchers also observed an overall 75% reduction in median daily cigarette consumption from 25 to 6 by the end of 12 weeks, which I don't care. Stanton Glantz can shit on dual use all he wants, but that's an absolute win in my book. Mm-hmm. After 6 months, 24 weeks after the study began, 35% of participants had completely stopped smoking conventional tobacco cigarettes while continuing to use e-cigarettes. But wait, there's more. Researchers here also measured a significant decrease in daily cigarette consumption that was also confirmed at the end of 24 weeks. The study's authors report that 57.5% of participants reduced their cigarette usage by over 50%. Additionally, researchers found that participants' mean blood pressure, heart rate, and weight measurably decreased between the start of the study and the 12-week follow-up. Positive and negative symptoms of schizophrenia were not significantly different after using e-cigarettes throughout the whole duration of the study. And at the end of the study, 61.9% of participants reported feeling more awake, less irritable, and experiencing greater concentration and reduced hunger. Science! Effing science, and I effing love it. This is another argument, in my opinion, for high nicotine e-cigarettes. And even if, I don't know, this isn't my job to try to figure it out, but what if you had e-cigarette concentrations of up to 25% commercially, maybe above that for prescription? I don't even feel like that's a good enough of a...
I think that's a good idea.
Be consumer. Yeah, I think it needs to all be consumer. But, this just speaks volumes. High nicotine e-cigarettes got people with schizophrenia spectrum disorders to quit smoking after only 12 weeks. Yeah. Just 12 weeks. Incredible. I'm going to post a link down in the description to that wonderful, wonderful little bit of science. But wait, there's a little bit more science here, because King's College London study, confirms harm reduction characteristics of e-cigarettes. Literally no one in this chat should be surprised by this, but King's College London, they have a new study that yes, reconfirms that e-cigarettes have a clear benefit of helping people quit smoking. This study, conducted by a team at King's College London, found that the number of people in England who smoke has continued to fall in recent years. Of course, smoking tobacco products is still the leading cause of preventable death in the country. England alone, nearly 75,000 people die from smoking in 2019. Our results show, wait, I think I have a thing for this. Yeah, here it is. Our results show that when used daily, e-cigarettes help people quit smoking compared to no help at all, said Martin McDermott, a research fellow at the college's National Addiction Center and the lead author of the recently published study. These findings are in line with our previous research, showing that e-cigarettes are a more effective aid for quitting than nicotine replacement therapy and prescribed medication. Glancy disagrees with you. I feel like researchers... Yeah, go fucking Glantz. I feel like researchers in the UK are getting bored of researching vaping.
I know, right?
Right? It seems like that. It's
look, it's awesome. Yeah. Surprise.
Oh, look, it's, what's the King's College London? Another study that, another year, another study that shows that, yes, all of this evidence falls in line with all of our previous evidence. And we're just proving again and again and again and again and over and over and over again that not only are they way less harmful, but they work a little bit better than NRTs at getting people to quit smoking.
Oh, they do.
I feel like Linda Bald, someone's going to go, Linda Bald, do you want to do another study on vaping? And she's just going to go, again? Like, again?
See, here's where I have hope. I feel like these glorious researchers who do this are like, you know what? Yes, again, until the whole world stops, smokes less. And I feel like they get it, and they're like, we're going to keep doing it until vaping is accessible to everyone, and the amount of people who smoke is at a very, very, very low rate, because there's probably always going to be some people that want to smoke. And freedom, right? You're allowed to do that.
They should.
But if the majority of them see the less harmful alternative, if there's like a base like 0.5% of people that are just going to smoke, I still call that a win, right? If they know about the products, they know that they're available, it's affordable, it's easy, it's within reach, it's all the thing. Like, I feel like they won't stop until that is achieved. That's my hope.
That is a much more optimistic take than my cynical, like, really, again? Like, how many more times? I feel like I would be frustrated if I was a researcher in the United Kingdom and I kept coming up with study after study after study after study after study, just showing the same thing. It's like, well, now they're 97%. We actually found that they're less harmful than we even, previously thought before.
I just keep going. I'd be like, what can I do? What can I do now? Let me try it on people with depression. Let me try it on people with diabetes. Let me try it on,
See? Yeah. See if we had stopped, like I had suggested, we would have never, discovered schizophrenia. It helps high nicotine e-cigarettes help people with schizophrenia. So huge. I mean, whatever.
And that just
kudos.
Points out how much of a social justice issue it is too,
100%.
right? You guys like the, people who suffer from, mental health disorders, disabilities, issues have a much higher, as that article said, way more higher than the general population, likelihood of being using cigarettes, as do like people in the LGBTQ community, as do, a lot of people of color, specifically like Native Americans,
indigenous people,
exactly,
all across
indigenous
the world.
people. Like, those are communities who have less of a voice and less power in a lot of these situations, and they're hit hardest by these issues with like tobacco and death and disease caused by it.
Yes.
This needs to be available to them. And because it's a bunch of, rich white people who are like, no, my children, we're completely not listening to the fact that indigenous people and people of color and underserved communities are like, actually, this could be really great for us. White people, could you just parent your kids so that we could not die? Could that be a thing? Maybe we need to talk about this issue, because it really shows like what we're paying attention to and what we're ignoring.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. It's like, how can it not be a social justice issue at this point? It is. It just straight up 100% is. 100% is. And this is just more science. And I like that. I want King's College London to continue doing study after study after study after study. And you know what the funniest thing about the UK is? Like doing any research for vaping in the UK, certain names always pop up. It's like King's College London, sure, Royal College of Physicians, Public Health England, Martin Dockrell, Linda Bald. Like there's a few names that keep popping
Oxford.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Oxford, yeah. And then there's also names that pop up on the other side of it. When you see the anti-vaping like college in the UK, Bath University, but that's because that's where Bloomberg Philanthropies is based out of, is Bath University. So you'll see every time King's College London does a big vape study where they come to the same conclusions, you know, reinforcing all of their previous data, Bath will always have a little like critique of it. Bath is like the anti-vaping college in the UK, and it's purely because of Bloomberg, and I find it hilarious because you can always find something from Bath that's anti-vaping. Bath University, they just hate vaping. They just hate it. One last little science thing. We've gone for a pretty good long time now. We might run a little bit long, but there's one last little science-y thing that I wanted to mention. The gateway effect of e-cigarettes may be explained by a genetic liability to risk-taking. This is interesting. This is really, really interesting science. So hang on, let me get to this. Yes, the gateway effect of e-cigarettes may be explained by a genetic liability of risk-taking. So this study was put together by a girl named Jasmine Koja.
Let's just call her Jasmine.
Jasmine. This was put together by Jasmine, who is a PhD student at the University of Bristol, specializing in e-cigarette use in young people. That's cool to me that she's specializing in e-cigarette use in young people. I think that's a very cool thing. And so basically what this study was trying to determine is, hang on, let me just read this one.
Wait, did she do it? Because her name's not an author on the study.
Yeah, Jasmine. Yeah.
Because the study says Wayne Hall and Gary Chan.
I'm just reading where it says Jasmine Kula and her colleagues report one of the first studies to assess whether shared genetic risk factors may explain the association between e-cigarette use and cigarette smoking.
Oh, her name's probably one of those things where it's like, oh, she's a PhD student, so her teacher's name goes on the paper, not hers. But
that could be a thing too.
I think that's a thing.
That could be a thing. But it says here, no single study is ever decisive, but Jasmine and colleagues' findings are consistent with other epidemiological evidence, including findings that adolescents who are most likely to experiment with e-cigarettes are those who are at higher risk of smoking cigarettes and using other drugs because of traits such as sensation-seeking, risk-taking, and oppositional behavior. Yeah, that was me. I was that. I was that person. I just wanted to smoke. I wanted to drink. I wanted to stay out late. I wanted to raise hell. That was me. I was this sensation-seeking, risk-taking, oppositional behavior youth. E-cigarette use has also not been accompanied by increased cigarette smoking among young people in the United States.
Hear that, Matt Myers?
Yeah, did you hear that, Matt? Louder for the people in the back, Matt Myers. E-cigarette use has also not been accompanied by an increased cigarette smoking among young people in the United States, as would be the case if e-cigarette use were a major gateway to cigarette smoking. The latter findings suggest that any gateway effect of e-cigarettes is small at the population level because smoking prevalence has continued to decline, despite an increased uptake of e-cigarettes among young adults in countries that allow their sale. That was me. I was gonna smoke. I was a risky behavior kid. I remember drinking in high school. I remember smoking weed in 7th grade. I remember smoking cigarettes in 7th grade. I remember, skateboarding with no helmet on. I remember playing car tag. Like, I was just a risky youth kid, and of course I was gonna smoke. And it's interesting to see that there's some science. Science in this supposed, gateway effect, and which I don't even know. The gateway effect of e-cigarettes might be a genetic liability of risk taking. So she's saying that the gateway of like e-cigarette initiation. She's not talking about the gateway of e-cigarettes to smoking. She's talking about teens who are risky are more likely to smoke and vape and drink and do drugs and things like that.
And this is like the second or third of this kind of thing that we've seen lately, right? People who are objectively looking at this issue going like, okay, I know that like Stanton Glantz and like tobacco-free kids and all these people are saying this, but you can't, like, that doesn't show a causational relationship. You know what I mean? Like one doesn't, you can't say that. And if you read the fine print in all their studies, they also admit that too. That doesn't change the fact that the headline says, if you vape, you're 4 times as likely to smoke. It doesn't mean that, right? No. Causation is not necessarily present there.
No.
I'm forgetting the little phrase. Yes, correlation does not equal causation, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been a theory for a while that risk-taking behavior is the commonality between these, not that one causes the other or vice versa. And so they're just now saying, oh, we're actually showing some like science that potentially shows a genetic liability here for risk-taking that would then explain that behavior. Yeah, so I'm just like, go do it, more. Like, the gateway is not real.
Yeah, the gateway is not real, and it's just, I don't know. It's so refreshing to see some good new science out there taking on, kind of an important thing about, okay, well, why are certain kids just have a predilection to vaping an e-cigarette or smoking a cigarette or smoking a joint or drinking a beer? Or it's just nice to see, a study like this in actual science. Yeah, having sex, I mean, texting while driving.
Right. Like if you probably looked at, let's say, people who use drugs, and let's say like intravenous drugs, for example, people who use intravenous drugs like heroin or things like that, the vast majority of them probably also drink alcohol.
Yes.
Does that mean that alcohol is a gateway to intravenous drug use? No, it doesn't. It just means that people who do one are probably just as likely to do another. You know what I mean? And we know that for a lot of adults and adult things, but for some reason when it comes to children, our minds kind of explode and we don't know what's up or down or left or right. And we just say things that sound good, right? Yeah, the Nick Cage thing and people drowning in pools.
This is the thing I was looking for. Correlation does not equal causation. The red line is the number of people who drowned by falling into a pool. The bottom line is films Nicolas Cage has appeared in the same years that people drowned in pools. That looks like one is directly related to the other. It looks like it looks like either Nicolas Cage is drowning people or dead people in pools
watching his movies and they're drowning themselves.
Are drowning themselves. Correlation does not always equal causation. It can sometimes.
It can.
If it's determined, but it doesn't always. It doesn't always, and that's one of those. It's a sneaky weaselly thing So, yeah, we got some science. We got some newsy bits. We got some nicotine caps. I'm going to post some links all over the description. In fact, all of the links should already be in the description. I did a little bit of homework, trying to set myself up for success, and putting the links in the description ahead of time. So all the links should already be there. Timestamps will be pinned underneath. I'll have chapters on this video. I think that's it. We're good to go, you guys. I'm going to wrap this up, but yes, exactly. We'll ban Nicolas Cage. If tobacco control was in charge of it, definitely.
Right?
Exactly. No viewing a Nicolas Cage movie within 25 feet of a swimming pool.
Right.
And definitely,
or 2 hours of swimming, probably. Make it like food. You know what I mean? You'll get a cramp and die.
If tobacco control was regulated. Yeah. Also, the Nicolas Cage movies have to be in black and white. Because colors, it riles up the senses. It appeals to kids. Yeah, the colors appeals to kids, and they'll watch, National Treasure and then just go drown themselves.
Right, and the volume has to be below 10%.
Right,
because that would just be, there's just danger in hearing damage. So all Nicolas Cage movies have to be below 10% of total volume. I mean, that just. Right. I see my parallel I'm making with Nic Caps. Do you see what I'm doing here?
I saw that. It was very clever. That was very slick. Very slick. I had a couple more super chats here. Dave said, UK must be caught. Oh.
What? UK must be caught?
UK must be caught by body snatchers.
Oh, God, not that again. If you guys haven't seen You Don't Know Nicotine, you should go watch that movie. You'll see a very interesting interview with Stanton Glantz. And also, your impersonation is still
body snatchers.
On. But it's
snatchers.
So perfect.
I love it, Dave. I love the crap out of it. Christopher Murdoch, fellow risk-taking youth. Yeah, aren't you glad we didn't have cell cameras when we were young? I was having this conversation with Casey the other day. Maybe we were talking about it as well, but like, you remember being like 7th and 8th grade? That was what a terrible time. Like societal pressures and trying to be cool. And like, I had a girlfriend, but it's like, oh, my girlfriend's mad at me, and like trying to fit in and school and trying to get good grades and being popular. Now throw like fucking Instagram on that shit.
Oh God.
And that's like gasoline on a fire. Like, how on earth are youths even coping in today's world with social media?
I don't know how they survive.
I have no idea. One thing, I mean, this next generation, whatever we're calling them, they are going, they're just been thrown to the wolves. They're like, welcome to the fucking world of chaos. There's so much pressure on every human in the world right now. I think they're going to be the ones that eventually have said enough is enough. Like, it wasn't quite Gen X, and it's not going to be the millennials, but maybe down the road, they'll say, look, enough is enough. Look, enough is enough. Hey.
Millennials just get blamed for everything. Everything's just our fault.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy when I still see people on social media talking about how millennials are ruining things. And I'm like, dude,
you're talking about
are in their 30s now.
Yeah. We're in our 30s and 40s. It's not us. Like, people still think millennial is just a catch-all. I'm just going to go on a soapbox rant for a minute because I get real annoyed. Okay.
Yeah.
I am a millennial. All right. And not everything is my fault. Also, I'm going to turn 34 this year. I am not a high schooler eating a Tide Pod, okay? When you're talking about young, millennial doesn't mean young people. Listen, older people, millennial has an end. And most of us are like, I think the oldest millennial is like 29 or something. You know what I mean? I think the cutoff is like we're grown-ups. When you talk about people doing crazy shit, you need to call that is Gen Z. They are called Zoomers. If you want something easy to remember, that is Zoomers. Please stop blaming everything on us. Please. Okay. We graduated like high school and college at the collapse of like the economy. Right. We're never going to be able to buy houses. We can't keep jobs because of everything. Just leave us alone, please. Like, could you just leave millennials alone? We're doing our best.
But the damn millennials ruined so many normal American institutions, like buying a house. More millennials aren't buying houses anymore. Like, oh, really? No
Why
shit.
do you think that is? You think we don't like houses? You think I don't want a house? I want one, okay? Oh, I get ragey about this. I'm going to...
That's cool. It's cool. It's cool. Look, I'm chill, and I'm Gen X over here, and it's whatever.
I know. Gen X's are so great. You guys are the best generation. Cool. You're not the boomers. You're not, really anxious like all the millennials are. You guys are just hanging back, and you're like,
pretty chill.
We're here to chill. Do you want some weed? Do you want to hang out?
That's kind of it. It's like,
I love Gen Xers are my favorite people.
Well, thank you very much. I'm pretty proud of us. I think we did pretty okay.
You guys did okay. You escaped a lot of that shit, and you're just like, we out here though. There's a really good meme that's talking about like all the gender. I think it's like a meme of like two people arguing, like an old person and a young person, and it's like millennials arguing with like boomers, and then the Gen Xers are like peeking through the blinds, like, what's going on? Just like watching in the background.
What kills me is there are still people in government from the silent generation, pre-baby boomers.
Isn't that Joe Biden? Isn't he the silent generation?
He is the silent generation.
I think he is. I think he's too old to be a boomer.
Silent people in the government from the silent generation are shaping policy in 2021. People that grew up without a telephone. People that grew up without a telephone are deciding what we should do with highly advanced nicotine electronic vaporizers.
I mean, when you put it that way, I'm not trying to be ageist or nothing, but like,
look, I'm not either, but you have to keep up.
Should you guys be retiring or something?
If
Move to Florida.
I'm trying to keep up. Like, I am legitimately trying to keep up. It's difficult. And when I'm out of touch, I know when I'm out of touch, and I would expect people to tell me that I'm out of touch. Like, if I tried to chime in on something about like TikTok filters
or Snapchat,
I wouldn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And people would go, Grimm, just stop. Just stop. You're out of touch. You're too old. You don't know what you're doing. Go sit down. Go sit on the couch and watch Ren and Stimpy, you Gen Xer. Go listen to Nirvana. Like, okay, that's fine. I'll do that. I don't need to mess around with TikTok anyway.
No TikToks.
Anyway, silent generation. It's good times. But hey, thank you guys all for coming out, helping us, disseminate some information, spread some truth butter, get some good information, get some good science out there. I will have tons of links down in the description. The one that I really want you to check out, it's going to be the first link. It's going to be right underneath the CASAA call to action for the USPS feedback. It's going to be the philanthropy link. It's a long one, but it's probably the best thing I've ever read in probably 2 years, maybe longer than that. It's incredible. And I do believe I have a little bit of like changing tide, just a little. The tide's been shifted.
I feel it too. I feel it too.
You feel it.
I'm trying to gravitate and hang on to it for optimism. I do want to mention real quick. So actually, the official USPS comment period is over. It ended last night. So if you go to the CASAA call to action right now, the step 1 call to action has been deactivated and it is closed. However, you can and should still do the second one, which is contacting your federal representatives. So just so everybody is aware, the official comment period has ended, but you can still send messages to your legislators, and we absolutely still recommend that you do that.
Yes. Just trying to load up the screen with a bunch of crap right now.
Oh, yes. Just
calls to actions. Tobaccokills.ca, rights for vapors up there in Canada. Get involved, be educated, do everything you can. We defend vaping. I defend vaping, and I would love it if you would join me and defend vaping. And I think this is a good plan. And so from all of us here at the TBN headquarters, appreciate you. We'll be back here next week to continue discrediting the myth-making machine. Remember that no matter what anybody tells you, especially Mike Bloomberg philanthropies, no matter what anybody tells you, vaping is at least 95% less harmful than burning combustible tobacco cigarettes. It is not a gateway to cigarette addiction. It is not a gateway to hard drugs. And yes, in large doses, it can be an industrial pesticide, which has no bearing on your life as a vapor. So be excellent to each other, you guys. We'll talk soon, okay? Peace out. Bye.